Now, a few days ago, the NASDAQ index in the United States hit a positive level for the year. In other words, the NASDAQ wasn't back to its record, which I think was in late February, but somebody who would have invested in the NASDAQ on January 1st this year would actually be up compared to at the start of the year. And that is an incredible statistic. So for all the panicking, actually one of the key indexes globally is actually positive for the year. And I think there's a few takeaways from this. Now, number one, it once again shows that the media really exists to strike fear in people's hearts. I know a lot of you probably wouldn't have any idea that the NASDAQ is now positive for the year because the media hasn't reported on it that much. You wouldn't log on to the BBC or CNN and see one of the main stories is NASDAQ is positive for the year. Whereas if the NASDAQ fell by 40% in the next month, you both know, both you and I know, it would be literally the biggest headline around the world alongside Corona. It wouldn't just be the financial news, it would be everywhere. So when markets were panicking, it was literally the number one headline in the media around the world, not just the financial media. But then when markets recover, you don't really hear about it. Same in February, when markets hit record highs, it's kind of said, like, oh yeah, markets hit another high, something like that. So always take the media for a pinch of salt. Now, number two, though, it once again shows that nobody can predict markets. About a month ago, if you would have said the NASDAQ would be positive for the year, people would have laughed, maybe, some people, especially people predicting doom and gloom. So no one can predict markets, especially in the short term. Even though markets have gone up hugely long term, no one can predict them. Number three, don't be afraid of volatility. So the NASDAQ index, a lot of people don't know this, has actually outperformed the S&P 500 and Dow Jones over the long term. In other words, since 1995, I think the NASDAQ's actually produced as much as 12 or 13% annualized. However, the volatility has been incredible. In other words, there was a 76% fall from 2000 until 2002. And in 2008, the NASDAQ fell even more than the Dow Jones and S&P 500. But it's actually outperformed almost every index in the world and has done better than even the other two main American indexes. Now, that doesn't mean you should put all of your assets in the NASDAQ index. It just shows, though, that more volatility doesn't automatically mean you're going to take more risks long term. More volatile assets can be more profitable long term, but not automatically. And more volatile assets aren't automatically more risky. That's a key mistake, to assume that, oh, the money in the bank, it might not be giving me much, but it's safe, 1% per year. Well, actually, it's not, because you've got currency devaluations, inflation, and whatever. And likewise, long term, the assets that have actually been more volatile have often been more safe long term if you're willing to buy and hold. There are exceptions to that. Emerging markets have been very volatile, even more than the NASDAQ, and emerging markets actually haven't produced more than US markets long term. But in general, don't assume that volatility and stability are automatically connected. Also, a final point is it once again shows how we're moving to a digital world. Now, don't get me wrong, nobody can always say, oh, markets have gone up for X reason or markets have gone up for Y reason. Markets can go up and down for a number of reasons. However, the fact that the likes of Zoom, Netflix, and whatever can actually generate revenue with zero face-to-face exposure means they can continue to grow even during lockdown. And yes, lockdown's getting eased now around the world, but at the end of the day, lockdown, no lockdown, coronavirus, no coronavirus, online firms can scale more quickly. That's just the reality. That was the case in 2005 and 2000 and 2010. It's going to be the case almost for sure in 2022, 2023, regardless of what's happening in the world. So tech is here to stay, and it's going to affect all of our lives, really.